she truly is going in places where we just as human beings, conservative, liberal, Christian, non-Christian, we have a gag reflex to that because of our fundamental, innate, protective desire to protect children.
Hi, Daily Citizen readers. This is Emily Washburn here with Glenn Stanton to discuss an article from the Sex and Sexualities Journal, which is associated with the American Sociological Association. The title is Childhood Sexualities on Pleasure and Meaning from the Margins. Glenn, that is an incomprehensible title, but the thrust of this article is very profoundly horrifying.
It is horrifying, and it's an academic article that seeks to justify opening up sexualities of children as a course of study, which breaks down this genuinely human barrier of adults being the protectors of children sexually rather than objectifiers.
Yeah, so it's written by a scholar from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, which is in South Africa.
Correct.
And the thrust of it is seeking to normalize childhood sexuality.
Yeah.
And I pulled out this quote when I was glancing at it. It's, quote, "The notion of childhood sexual innocence is not a natural construct." Presumably, this is not something that we affirm.
No, it is not something that we affirm, nor is it something that is true. If you look at human universals, the healthy adult desire to protect child innocence is absolutely natural. Like, if there's a definition of childhood, it's innocence. And good parents protect the innocence of children. But she says in this statement that that is not a natural construct. She's breaking that idea down, that children can experiment with sexuality and can possibly be experimented upon in sexuality because they have their own sexualities that need to be explored. That's the thing. You highlighting that is a very good thing because if you can break down that childhood innocence nature and the adult's natural responsibility to protect that, then you can open that up to anything.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, and she even goes further. She doesn't just say that children have sexualities. She actually says that it's unjust and suppressive to discourage child sexual engagement. What are the implications of that?
Well, it's interesting because, first of all, it's important to understand that children do have sexualities. Like in another book that I wrote a number of years ago, you know, my little children, when they would get out of the bathtub and they'd want to put a robe around them, they are expressing their sexuality in a protective way. So our job is to honor that and to protect that and to fight for that. She's moving in the wrong direction. She's saying that, no, these sexualities need to be free to be expressed in various ways and should be explored by adults. Now, she's positioning this in terms of academic study and pursuit, but she is breaking down the boundaries and the barriers of adults serving as protective agents in the lives of children, and instead wanting to study this, explore this.
Yeah, and I worry because if you're reading this just as a casual reader, it is couched in so much radical left terminology, but also just academia. So we're talking marginalization and heteronormativity and hierarchy.
Decolonialization,
yes.
You know?
So she's not only obscuring the meaning of it, but she's also couching it in terms of this great, decolonial effort.
Right. And the decolonial effort that she's saying is, oh, these white Christian missionaries came to these various countries and said that children have rights. They need to be protected. They're not to be exploited sexually. And that's what she's trying to break down here. I mean, she uses that word decolonialism like we're supposed to know what that means. What that means is again, when Christianity comes to an area, it sees children as people. It sees children as those that deserve protection and dignity. And that's what she's objecting to, really. Although she doesn't say it overtly, that's the history there.
Now, okay, so that makes sense. Now, Glenn, you wrote this as an analyst. When I was reading it, I'm a journalist, but even as a human, I was reading it and my instinct was to put it away, to look at it as some radical one-off.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that this is more than a professor that's just out of her depth? What does it mean for the culture at large?
It is a disturbing article because she's talking in very clinical language about exploring and opening up childhood sexualities. And she never overtly says that children are to be experimented with, but she says we do need to break down age boundaries and to understand that children have a right to eroticism and things like that. I mean, like, she truly is going in places where we just as human beings, conservative, liberal, Christian, non-Christian, we have a gag reflex to that because of our fundamental, innate, protective desire to protect children there. And she's breaking that down, and she's seeking to break that down over the issue of sexuality.
Yeah. It's really heavy stuff. And for people that aren't analysts or journalists, what would you recommend that they take away from this and apply to their daily life?
Well, the thing that I would encourage them to take away is this is an academic article published in an otherwise responsible journal published by the American Sociological Association. And know, parents, that you don't have to look for bad people under every rock, but don't think that bad people don't exist under any rock. This is what this kind of scholarship is doing. And so parents, be mindful, be aware that there are people, academics, scholars, and scholarly journals looking to break down the protective barrier of your child's sexual innocence. That's the punchline here.
It's heavy, heavy stuff. And I'm reminded of Luke 17:2, in which Jesus has some strong words for people that seek to harm children. He says, "It would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were cast into the sea, than that he should cause one of these little ones to sin." To read Glenn's full article, click on the link in the comments. For the Daily Citizen, I'm Emily Washburn with Glenn Stanton.